Stay on.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of The Cut. I'm your host, Christian Williams, and I am here, as always, with Randy Hall. Randy, how are you, man?
Doing all right. Long, busy day at work. Definitely. We're both a little bit under the weather coming into this, so
Yeah.
Perfect. Right around time of the holidays. Make sure to get everyone in your family sick. Perfect.
Yeah. And I have a new baby cousin that I don't know if I'm going to be able to see her anymore because I'm sick, but I'm hoping, I've got a few days left, and then hopefully I can.
Exactly.
But yes, Sick Boys talking about the sick Week 11 slate of the NFL and previewing Week 12 a little bit. League news, we don't have any this week, but we're gonna dive right into this. We're
I
gonna
was gonna say it's Melvin Gordon was waived. That's probably about it.
I figured we'd get there. Regarding that, where do you think he lands? What's your prediction?
I no clue at this point.
I feel you there.
Because the teams that really need it, the Rams could use him. He's not going there.
I think the Chargers could honestly use him back, but that situation's a little sad.
They didn't like each other a ton there. The Bills, they could just full 4-person workload it with having him as a bruiser, I guess. Titans make some sense as a backup. Ravens probably make the most sense.
Bears make some sense, I think, with the Khalil Herbert injury.
I just assume he probably gets picked up by a good team for this season. So maybe even Chiefs if they want to get some help from Pacheco. NFC, I'm really not. Seahawks as a backup. I don't think the Bucks care enough with Gio back this week.
Yeah.
Giants as a backup.
Yeah. But I don't think they're
there's not a ton
in their situation either. So yeah, it's I don't. He might make it through waivers honestly, and then have a chance to sign somewhere, or he might just be done for the year. But he hasn't been good, so it really doesn't matter all that much.
True.
But this show is normally on Wednesdays. If you're joining us live, we are obviously live on a Monday. And so we haven't been able to do waivers for the last few weeks, but we put down a couple of guys that we think would be good waiver pickups. Randy, do you want to kick us off here?
Sure. Unfortunately, I'm going to kick it off with Deshaun Watson. This is the last week he is on his suspension. He's supposed to be back week 13 to face the Texans. I assume he just gets given the reins, but this is also a team that's outside looking in on the playoffs easily at this point, pretty much needing a lot of wins back to back to back here to even have a chance. So it makes sense to turn it over to him, and it just makes sense for the future because obviously he's going to be a quarterback for the future. So trying to get some rhythm with Cooper and running backs and DPJ makes sense. But he's clearly the best quarterback on waivers because he's last time he played at least was a top 5 quarterback. So
yeah. And I know a lot of people have stashed him already, so if he's not there, that's okay. Jacoby Brissett is completely irrelevant after this week, though. I think he will step right into a starting role. So
yeah.
Next we have Isaiah Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire injury in this game. He was kind of getting the work, and then Pacheco bust off a few nice runs. Pacheco's looked good. He's developing, which is nice. He's definitely a guy we talked about. He's an athlete that doesn't really know how to play running back, but if they teach him how to play running back, he could be a pretty good player. He's out there in a lot of leagues again. I think people were disappointed after a couple weeks ago, um, so take a look for him.
Yeah. I'll actually let you. I'll do the one after, so you can do your boy. We talked about already with Melvin Gordon, Latavius Murray, Chase Edmonds is actually, I believe it's a high ankle sprain as well, or something of that equivalent. So he's probably out for a couple weeks. Latavius Murray at this point, it's kind of like the last body available, and he's looked decent at least. Obviously, this Broncos rushing attack isn't anything to write home about, but if he's going to get 20 touches a game, uh, uh, it's at least playable in your flex, especially if they don't bring anyone else in, which I don't know who they'd bring in at this point. So
Yeah, that's fair. The one you were talking about, Rashad White. Rashad White got the start last week in Germany. It was, well, technically 2 weeks ago now, and he went off. Like, of course, Leonard Fournette still got his carries, and Leonard Fournette ended up with more fantasy points. But from a rushing perspective, Rashad White, 22 carries, 105 yards. And it looked like he took over the backfield in terms of the rushing work. There's going to be touchdowns that come with that. There will also be pass catching opportunities. There weren't in this game, but he's a good pass catcher. That's actually what his appeal was before the season. So I think we could see him surge down the stretch and have some potentially top 12 weeks if this Bucs offense gets going the way it should.
if he can get like a 65% workload, I think that is definitely doable. I think they are going to come out pretty strong after the break. I think they win probably like at least 80% of the remaining games and easily take that division. Moving on, I put in here Samaje Perine. Obviously, he had a 3 touchdown performance. A little bit with Mixon there, a little bit with him out with concussion. Mixon has had concussions in the past, so I put him in here because if he's out, I think Perine's an easy play in your flex. I don't think you expect 3 touchdowns by any means, but he looked decent this last week, and in a replacement role for a week, I think he could be an easy spot start for you.
Yep. Christian Watson's the guy that obviously a lot of people went out and picked him up after his 3 touchdown performance 2 weeks ago. But on Thursday night, which feels like ages ago at this point, he posted another 4 catch performance, 48 yards, 2 touchdowns. He has 5 touchdowns in his last 2 games. And it seems to be sticking. Aaron Rodgers finally trusts someone in the red zone. He trusts someone in general. And so I think Watson's going to have a pretty fantastic final stretch because Green Bay does have a lot of games that they can win, but we've seen now that they're not the most competitive team. And so they're going to be throwing a little bit more than maybe we expected coming into the season. So Watson's going to be a great play. He's available in quite a few leagues still. So take a look for him.
Yeah. Well, and with this week having no buys as well as people coming back from injury, he might be on the chopping block for teams. So just keep an eye out after waivers as well to see if he does get eliminated, because you're not going to keep him over some of these other guys. I mean, just plain and simple. So I have 2 rookies here. I put one, I forgot to put the other, but Treylon Burks didn't really do anything in his return week 10, but in about 50% of the snaps this last week, scored about 18 points in fantasy. So he does have that upside. That's the upside we knew he had this year. But it seems like he is going to be used as the focal point of the passing attack, which under Ryan Tannehill actually goes past 200 yards, thankfully. So while I don't think there's, A.J. Brown ceiling of that 30 points like he had in Tennessee, I think we can get a safe like 8 to 15 from him a good amount of weeks, especially weeks where Derrick Henry's not running 35 times. And then the other one is Jameson Williams. His practice window has been opened. If he is out there and you have a spot, I would be going to pick him up because that offense desperately needs someone to help Amon-Ra St. Brown. And we know how explosive Jameson Williams is. And I don't think he touches the field unless he's 100% because they understand that he's the future of this offense with Amon-Ra. So if he's back at all this year, and they are, an outside looking in, but they're, the 10th seed in the NFC right now, they do have a chance. I think he can be an electric guy to help you in your flex for the playoffs.
Yeah. Before the season, I said I was looking at the Lions schedule and I didn't see any less than 7 wins on it. They currently have 4, and they play the Jets, the Panthers, and the Bears, and the Jaguars on this schedule, and they play the Vikings tough. So I still see 7 wins. I think this might be a playoff team. And guess what? It's not tanking their chances at a quarterback because they have the Rams pick. So it's fantastic stuff for the Lions. Although I don't know if they're going to go get a quarterback. We'll talk about that in the offseason. But
I think they will, but I just don't know if it's in the draft. And for what it's worth, I don't think they, even if they lose the rest of these games themselves and the Rams lose, I'm not even quite sure they're going to be in the top 2 picks to get a quarterback. So
that's
at
true.
that point, you're probably going to trade up anyways. So might as well try and get in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Because if you're going to have to trade 2 firsts and something to get up anyways, might as well, keep your job, Dan. Keep winning.
Yeah. The Rams pick might get all the way there depending on the Stafford injury, though, for what it's worth. But
That's fair.
we'll see. We'll see. Okay. We're going to, last week we updated with standings and draft order and stuff like that. We're not going to do that this week. We'll come back to that next week and probably give a little bit of an update. There were some changes at the top. The Bears have a top 3 pick now. The Raiders are at 4. What was the other one that moved pretty drastically? The Seahawks into the top 5.
The Eagles pick went from 5 to 10. Seahawks, Lions, and Texans, all their picks moved up ahead of the Steelers and Jaguars. Packers moved to 11, and then the Lions pick going up to 13 with the win would be the other.
Yeah, I started doing a mock draft this morning. We don't have time for this, but I started doing one, and Tyree Wilson is going to the Seahawks. I think no matter what.
I think
they
pretty much a lock.
He's such a versatile dude with like crazy length, and it feels like a Seahawks pick. I feel
he is a Trayvon Walker of this class, in my opinion. Early, at least. You've done more scouting than me, obviously, but just from what I've seen, he's that type of player, the athletic freak with a bunch of weird traits that could become something that gets shoved at the board. So,
sure.
I think he's got Seahawks written all over him.
Yeah, we talked about him, and I said, "Oh, it's probably another player I don't like because he's kind of a tweener." He's not that. He's listed as defensive lineman, and I'll tell you what, I would take him at edge all day, every day. He's got some crazy bend for a big guy. Love him. We'll talk prospects though in a couple months, probably.
That's a whole 17 other pods, man. We can't.
This is true. Yeah, we can't jump the gun here. All right, let's get into the Thanksgiving Day preview, the Week 12 preview entirely. As Randy said, there are no buys this week, so every team is playing. We have 3 games on Thanksgiving. The first one is the Buffalo Bills staying in Detroit for an away game this time, playing the 4-6 Lions. The Bills are 9-point favorites, and the over/under in this game is 43.5. The Bills are coming off a win against the Browns, where they struggled at first. The first quarter was pretty rough, and they kind of let the Browns hang in there. Josh Allen didn't have a super great day. I think credit to the Browns for that. But they also, the Bills were able to run for, I think, 160, 170 yards just with Devin Singletary and James Cook. So the rushing attack looked better, and that seemed to be the game plan. In this game, I don't think that that's going to be the game plan because the Lions are obviously beatable through the air.
They're beatable.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. On the other side of things, though, the Lions are coming off an impressive win against the Giants where they kind of controlled the game the entire way. Their offense was just like the Giants couldn't stop them, and the Giants have played really good defense this year. Final score of that one was 31-18. Jared Goff, once again, these 2 teams won without great quarterback play. Jamal Williams went off 3 touchdowns. That was kind of the highlight, and he could have had a 4th, but they let DeAndre Swift have one. Said, "Here you go, fantasy managers, take one." So
results are too many already,
right? So my main question, obviously, well, I have 2 questions. First, what are you doing with DeAndre Swift? He scored like 11 points in PPR with that touchdown. It wasn't great still, and Jamal Williams has been awesome. So what are you doing?
I'm playing him this week, in my opinion. I think, as we saw with the Browns rushing attack last week, it struggled with the return of Matt Milano for this Bill defense. Really, really struggled. And the Browns have one of the best rushing attacks in the league. So I really don't think Jamal Williams will have a fantastic day on the ground. I think he could still get a touchdown or two and like 50 yards. But I think if they're going to move the ball, it's going to be from Amon-Ra Swift, in my opinion. And I think he can have a good day. I think they need to throw the ball to him this game. I think he's back to full health, it looked like. I'm not sure he's got the exact same, burst as he had in the first week, but I think he's getting there, and this is a good chance as any to try and light up the scoreboard and make it fun. So in that case, I'm playing Swift because I'd rather take that shot than a lot of others this week, and that everyone's playing. So that says a lot.
That's fair. My other question, do you think this is a competitive game?
Yeah, I do. I think the Lions are a competitive team. They've played some duds this year, but it's Thanksgiving. So it's kind of a 50-50 for the Lions. They either show up and are the best versions of themselves, or they're super depressing. And it is the first game, so I'm assuming it's depressing, but I'm going to hope for the good one.
Yeah. I'm taking the Lions to cover in this game. I'm not going to take them to outright win. That would be crazy. But I don't think I'd rule it out, honestly, and I'll take the over easily in this game.
Yeah, over and Bills, but I'll take the obviously Bills win, but I think the Lions can keep it under 9.
Yeah. All right, next one. The game of the day, I would say. So the 7-3 Giants take on the 7-3 Cowboys. This is for the second place. This is a second place game because the Eagles are so dominant right now. The Cowboys are 9-point favorites in this one. I kind of made a joke. Why are the Cowboys favored by this much on the road against the Vikings? And then they just slaughtered them. This Cowboys team, when it's firing and when they have, I know Zeke wasn't, Pollard was the focal point still of the running back room, but a lot of that was through the air. That's kind of what we thought Pollard was, even when Zeke was healthy. But this Cowboys team, when Micah Parsons is able to play edge rusher, and that's really all you need, that you unlock everything when Micah can stay at edge and the offense is fully healthy. So I guess my thoughts, I kind of saw the Giants dud coming against the Lions. I picked the Lions last week. Do you think this is a bounce back game for the Giants, or do you think that the Cowboys just lay it on them again?
I think Saquon has to dominate for the Giants to win. And I think that's the case almost every week. And that's what happened against the Lions, that they really controlled the running game a good amount and forced Daniel Jones to have to beat them, which as we've seen from many years, he's not really capable of. And I expect the Cowboys to do the same. But I do think it's a competitive game, at least for the most part. I don't expect as explosive of a game from the Cowboys, but they're clearly capable. I mean, they eased Zeke back into it, and I think he had 2 touchdowns. So, but, the passing game wasn't 100%. It didn't look fantastic, and I think it might be a little bit flip-flop this week. We'll see, but I expect a pretty fun game to watch at least.
Yeah, I do think the Cowboys pull away late, but I think this is competitive throughout. Obviously, start everyone in this game. Are you starting Daniel Jones with a full slate of quarterbacks? Yeah.
No, and it's the same. I didn't want to start Kirk Cousins last week, and I'd rather play Kirk over Daniel Jones most weeks, even with the rushing floor.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So I'll take Cowboys and under.
I'll take the Cowboys and the points and over. I think they do get out to a 10-point lead to end the game.
Yeah, I feel you there. All right, Patriots 6-4 heading to Minnesota to take on the 8-2 Vikings. This game is intriguing to me. Over under is 41.5. Patriots played one of the worst games of any offense in football, and still weren't the worst offensive team on the field this last week against the Jets. There's a reason that Zach Wilson may have lost his job. We'll talk about that when we get to the Jets. But Mac Jones was efficient, but they just could not score the ball. Ramondre Stevenson had another good game through the air. Damian Harris looked kind of like back to normal. He looked really good on that. He busted a nice run. On the other side of things, the Vikings just got smacked. Kirk Cousins, 12 of 23, 103 yards. Dalvin Cook had a fine game carrying the ball, 11 carries, 72 yards, but they were down a lot of points, so that didn't really stick. And then Justin Jefferson, 3 catches, 33 yards. Obviously, that's where I'm a little nervous, though. Is like, are we getting 2 straight duds from Justin Jefferson? Because we know what Bill does to the top option.
But does he trust the defense to play against Kirk? And does he stop Dalvin? That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe.
I think he saw, like, obviously they were blown away. I think Bill knows his offense can't do that. And Dalvin looked good all game whenever he touched the ball. So I think the focal point will be stopping him, mainly because as much as we like the Joneses as the Patriots corners, they're not good enough to stick with Jefferson. And the rest of the options are good enough that you can't really fully double him. So I think they try and take away the running game and give constant pressure to Kirk and make Kirk beat them, which, can definitely happen, but it will cause this defense, which is ball hockey and lives off turnovers and sacks, to get a chance to do that against Kirk, just like the Cowboys just did.
Yeah. I think Kirk Cousins is going to run in a touchdown. That's my bold prediction for this game.
This is a primetime game, though, man.
That's true. But that's why I'll have to run it, because he can't throw in primetime games. So, no, and then on the other side of things, you're starting Ramondre pretty comfortably. You're not touching Mac Jones. I think he was 23 of 27 or something crazy like that. Let me pull it up.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, so 23 of 27 for 246 yards. And this is the problem with Mac Jones for fantasy, that equated to about 10 fantasy points. Like, that is what Mac Jones is. Obviously, touchdown production should come more so in this game, but I guess we'll see. And Patriots being 6-4 is insane to me. Like, the team has not played like a 6-4 football team. Credit to Bill Belichick. I know he gets a lot of shit, but
yeah, credit to Bailey Zappi for winning games.
Yeah, and credit to Zach Wilson for losing games, because that has also helped them twice.
Yes, but Bailey Zappi, like, Mac Jones getting hurt could have easily just given up the season for them. But they did a good job in those 4 weeks, I believe, and they won, and they kept it afloat for Mac to get back. I am going to pick the Vikings here, even though I did just kind of shit on them a bit. And I'm going to take the under.
Yeah, me too. That's actually where I'm going. The Vikings, they're kind of fraudulent. I saw Jeff Bell tweeted today that the Jaguars have a positive point differential, and they're 3-7 is what the record is. Hang on, we have it.
Yeah, it is. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, they're 3-7, and the Vikings are 8-2 and have a negative 12 point differential. That's not gonna stick all year, but I do think the Vikings can win this one. So
it's gonna be close, though.
Yeah, I will say I think this is 3 good football games on Thursday, which is great. Now, last year we thought we had 3 good ones, and then I think who started for the Saints? Because it wasn't Taysom, was it? Simeon, did he start for them last year on Thanksgiving?
I think so, but it didn't matter because was last year Kamara's 6-piece, or was that?
That was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago. So I watched that one here. But no, last year I think the Cowboys ended up coming back. I don't know. I know it was Cowboys Saints last year, but But yeah, 3 good football games. I'm excited. I'll be eating some turkey, watching all of them. So, and pie. Lots of pie. All right. Main slate. So kicking over to Sunday. We don't have any overseas games or cross country lines games like what's happening right now as we talk about this slate. But the 1:00 slate is full, 7 games. First one, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 5-5. 3-point favorites heading to Cleveland to face off against the 3-7 Browns. Over-under is 43.5. Bucks are coming off the bye week. We already talked about what happened before. Their offense clicked a little bit, and that was mostly on the back of their rushing attack becoming effective. Rachaad White kind of unlocked that. He looked explosive. He looked decisive. He didn't look like fat old Lenny, and I think that helped the offense kind of gel a little bit. Brady has been efficient for most of the year. There have been some times that he hasn't looked like that. Julio Jones, there was one play in that game that it looked like prime Julio, which shout out to the TB12 workout plan, because if they can get a healthy, fast Julio Jones down the stretch, I don't see how they lose the game. Other side of things, this is the last week of Jacoby Brissett. Amari Cooper went off last week. That's great. That's fantastic. Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb. David Njoku had a fine-ish game, and definitely not something you write home about. But the Browns are 3-7, and the Browns have a 19% chance to make the playoffs at this point. I think a loss here kind of puts the nail in the coffin for their playoff hopes, which might give them a little bit more motivation, but things are kind of unraveling over there in Cleveland. I don't see how Joe Woods makes it out of this game, honestly. But where are you going with this one, man?
I'm going to take the Bucs. Just coming off the bye, as much as I would like the Browns to win to keep their hopes alive, it's just not in the cards, I don't think, this year. We talked about, at length before the season where we were thinking like 6 or 8 games for Watson and what the record had to look like just to even give him a chance to get them in the playoffs. And now with it being, 11 games and the record being what it is, they pretty much need to win out to really give a good shot. And that's going to be near impossible to be 10-7 going into the playoffs. So I think they do get a few more wins. I just don't think it's this week. I think Brady and the Bucs coming off the bye just at least can ink out a win. I'm going to trust them more than the Browns.
Fair. Do you know what the weather looks like in Cleveland this weekend by chance?
Not Cleveland particularly, but I know like Ohio is supposed to be probably like 40, like high 30s, mid 30s.
Yeah, I looked it up. 48 and rainy. Showers throughout the day, which I think lends itself to a fine Chubb day. I think the Browns do go back to the run game.
If it's a downpour, it gives them a better chance, but it's still then you're basically telling that front seven of the Bucs to full send the run, and that's not going to be good either.
It's true. On the other side of things, too, the Browns have one of the worst run defenses in the league. Although I think they are the worst run defense in the league right now. So that could mean like 250 yards between Rachaad White and Leonard Fournette. So, I'd start them both this week.
We'll see.
Personally. I'll take the Bucs and the under in this game.
Bucs and under, yeah.
Next one, a matchup of sophomore quarterbacks, except it's kind of not. So the 3-8 Bears, with the worst record in the NFC and the third worst record in the NFL right now, are heading to New Jersey to take on the 6-4 Jets. The Jets are 5-point favorites in this game. Over under is 41.5. The only story there are 2 stories to talk about. Well, number one, there's a lot of ambiguity about what Justin Fields' injury is. There was a separated shoulder, dislocated shoulder, and then there was just the report about 45 minutes ago maybe, that he didn't have a dislocated shoulder and he didn't have a separated shoulder. And so we still don't know what the injury is. I think it's probably just a sprain of some sort, meaning that Justin Fields might be able to play in this game. On the other side, though, Zach Wilson might not be playing in this game because he was so bad, and he has been so bad all year. He's been the worst quarterback by far in the NFL this year, and Robert Saleh did not commit to him for this week or beyond. So this could be a Mike White versus Trevor Siemian game, which is sick, and one of the worst quarterback matchups in NFL history.
Perfect, though, because someone can just pass, so just move on.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson's comments after the game, basically taking no accountability for putting up 3 points. And it literally is a softball question. Not in the position of a quarterback of a franchise. You asked me, did you let your defense down by scoring only 3 points today and losing 10-3? The answer is yes.
Yep.
Easy. And you can even spin it like, even though we didn't play, even though we performed, we just couldn't perform and put the ball in the end zone when we needed to and kept the defense on the field too much. There's so many easy ways. It's literally a softball question. And he just, nope. I did fine.
The interesting part, so I think where people have run with that is the the question was, do you feel like the offense let the defense down? And I think maybe benefit of the doubt to a kid that I don't care to give the benefit of the doubt to, but maybe he was trying to cover for the rest of the offense, but that's just bad self-awareness because, dude, like, he left so many yards on the field. He was terrible. He was literally sailing checkdowns. Like, it was one of the worst performances of a quarterback that I can remember in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Also, the viral tweet that compared his numbers to Jamarcus Russell's is fantastic. Love it. I think Mike White's a better quarterback at this point, and I think he should start in this game. So, and I think they win
See on
if he
that.
starts because he can execute the offense. So,
So let's. I mean, I think if Fields is playing, is he running as much? I don't
no,
know. I think
absolutely
I
not.
think this might be a game where they both. Yeah, I think Fields just sits if it's any
He
kind of
should.
question.
He should.
So I'm
He
gonna
should
take
sit
the
the rest of the
Jets in the
season.
under. Basically, is what I'm going with.
I'm gonna. I worry about the Bears' rushing attack 'cause the Jets are a fantastic defense. Like we kind of shit on the Patriots a little bit, but the Jets have a very, very good defense. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna take the Jets to cover, win by a score. Um, And yeah, under on this game. I hate that game, unless Fields plays, and then I'm in. I'm all in on it.
Speaking of hating games, oh no, I skipped ahead. Well, because
Yeah.
I did that transition. Broncos versus 3-7 Broncos, 2.5 point favorites versus the Panthers, who are 3-8. 35 point over under. Terrible game.
Under.
Uh, Broncos obviously new starting running back technically. Sutton got a ton of looks. Dolch's got a ton of looks. The same people we knew play all three. Probably not play Russ. This Panthers defense is young and hungry and actually plays really well. The offense is just terrible. So under over on the sacks for the Broncos. Just even with me liking the offensive line of the Panthers, it still doesn't matter. um, and are you playing anyone of the Panthers? Deontay Foreman, you give him a chance against this rush defense. It's not
No,
perfect, but it's not terrible.
no, I'm not playing anyone
Yeah,
on the
and I
Panthers
think
side.
I think I'm only flexing Sutton and Murray. By the way.
Yeah, I would start Dulcich in a tight
Yeah,
end spot. Like that's
depends
one
what
I'm
you're
confident.
depends what you're looking at. Which so would you play him or Everett being banged up?
Him. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd take Dulcich.
Him or Njoku?
Um,
I'm trying.
Njoku. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think I'd lean Njoku.
Him or Foster Moreau against Seattle.
Dulcich.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and there are a lot of tight end needy teams with Goddard going out last week and Kyle Pitts, which we'll get to here in a bit. Kyle Pitts is on the IR, season-ending injury. Probably.
Stickers, there's a ton.
Yeah.
Broncos under and cover
Yeah.
2.5. I think they win by 7.
Panthers under.
It's fine.
The Broncos suck.
I hope the Panthers don't win. I don't care about the Broncos record. The Panthers need a quarterback.
I know. It won't matter. I don't think they
It'll
might have to
matter,
trade
man.
up.
They
They might
gotta
have to trade up
lose.
a spot, but like
They
they can make it
they
happen.
really don't have the capital to, man.
No, maybe not, but I mean, also they know that the Bears won't be taking one, so they might not need to trade up. I know there's someone else could trade up, which is true
Exactly.
and could happen. Could be the Lions. I give absolutely no shits about that game. Let's move over to the Bengals, the 6-4 Bengals, 1.5-point road favorites against the Tennessee Titans, who are 7-3. The over/under in this game is 42.5. As we talked about, Samaje Perine might be the starting running back at this point, coming off a 3-touchdown performance where he was effective, especially through the air, which he has been all year. That was a role that I thought Chris Evans would get throughout the year, but Samaje Perine's been so good that he's kind of taken that role. T. Higgins, fantastic again. Joe Burrow has been lights out for the last 10 weeks. I mean, since week 1. Tyler Boyd didn't do much. 7 targets though. Hayden Hurst wasn't really involved last week. I think that was a product of what the game script dictated. On the Titans side of things, we talked about Treylon Burks. He had a breakout type of performance against the Packers. Ryan Tannehill looked good. Derrick Henry looked good. Both relying on touchdowns. Robert Woods actually looked fine, but not a guy I'd play this week unless I'm in a really, really bad pinch.
You shouldn't be.
Right. How do you see this game playing out?
Joe Burrow's going to have to win it through the air. I don't expect Ja'Marr Chase to be back for obvious reasons.
No, he is practicing though.
Hollywood Brown practiced, and I didn't think he touched the field this week. So, for what it's worth. But then again, I didn't think Keenan Allen or Mike Williams would play, and they both did, which they probably shouldn't have. So, we'll see, but I don't think he plays. This Titans run defense is pretty stifling. I don't think whoever the running back is has a fantastic day, but they could be playable in the flex and get some touchdowns, especially Joe Mixon. But I'm going to take the Titans. I think the Titans run it out, bleed it out. I think they take the same approach as they had against the Chiefs, and they should have won that game, and they let it get away by not getting the first down late. And I think they kind of right that ship here and win. And I'll even take the over, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, I'll take the over for the Bengals putting up points and the Titans keeping up. I do think the Titans can keep up. At some point, we need to have a conversation about Mike Vrabel and how successful of a coach he is, despite a variety of different players coming in and out, a perceived lack of talent on the defensive side of the ball. They are like one of the best defenses in the NFL. If you watch them just on a snap-to-snap basis, they're just remarkable. David Long looks like one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Which I think is going to help them in this game. And I think the Titans win this game, and I think we'll hit the over. So
nice.
Next one, 5-6 Falcons heading to Washington to face off against the Commanders, who are 6-5. Commanders are actually 3.5-point favorites in this game, and the over/under is 43. Taylor Heinicke is the starting quarterback moving forward. I think he earned that. And what did Taylor Heinicke do this last week? He put up 15 for 27, 191 yards and a fumble. So while he earned that, still not a very good quarterback. So something to note, the Falcons side of things, I don't know what this offense looks like without Kyle Pitts. I think that's my issue. I know they didn't use him a whole lot, but they did use him to take attention away, right? And so now, where does that attention go? Probably to Drake London, and then Olamide Zaccheaus is probably your only other valuable. They have Kadero Hodge, just not guys that are difference makers. And Marcus Mariota sucks. He's just not good.
And for what it's worth, this Commanders defense is starting to look better and better. There's a chance Chase Young plays this week. He had an outside shot this last week. I think he could play this week. I think they win pretty. I won't even say easily. I just think they win in a low-scoring game because I think they understand that they need to take away the running game, and they will. And then Mariota's going to screw up. So I'll take the Commanders in the under.
I will also do that. And also, I think I'd play Patterson. I think I'd play the Commanders running backs. I think I'd play Terry McLaurin. I don't think I'd play anyone else, honestly, in this game. Some people might want to take a shot on Dotson or Samuel. I don't think so.
Pass.
Yeah. Next one, Ravens, 4-point favorites head into Jacksonville, who are 3-7, but again, positive point differential. Have played really well this year. I think they've only lost by one score or less in each game that they've played, which is great for them. Over-under is 43.5. Jaguars are coming off the bye, so I think that does play a part. The Ravens didn't look very good against that Panthers defense. They pushed through at the end and kind of sealed everything, but they scored 13 points. And so, and that was with Lamar being fairly efficient, fairly effective.
Yeah.
This Ravens offense is a problem. They don't have any pass catchers outside of Mark Andrews, who
Yeah.
they worked him into the game, but he's just. I hope he's another week healthy here.
And their running backs are still so banged up. They're trying to get value out of the position, but they're trying to rush people back. It's tough. I'm going to take the Ravens and the under, but it's going to be a good game mainly because like Lamar has to absolutely go off for them to win big. That's the only he has to have like 107 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Are you playing DeMarcus Robinson? 9 catches, over 100 yards.
Yes.
I mean,
but only in my 32 team league where I have to.
That's fair. Okay. I didn't know if he was like worth the flex to you against this Jaguars defense.
I just don't think he is this week. Again, no bye weeks. You have to have someone better than him.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I'm going to take the Jaguars to win this game, and I'm going to take the Jaguars to win this game by scoring more points than the Ravens offense, so I'm going to take the over.
That is how this
I
works.
know. You've said this before. Scoring a lot of points is what I meant. Okay, next one. This game sucks. The 1-8-1 Texans are taking on the Miami Dolphins, who are also off their bye week, which means that Mike McDaniel's going to have just incredible tricks up his sleeve just for fun. Dolphins are 12-point favorites. The over-under is 46. I don't have any commentary on this game.
Play all your Dolphins. Dolphins cover over. That's it. Probably play Pierce. That's probably it.
That is it. Brandon Cooks might be back. I doubt it. I don't know. I don't know what this Texans team is doing other than just really trying hard to get a quarterback, and they're doing well at that. So
top pick. Let's go.
For sure. Yep. It's going to be really funny. We skipped over that game. The Texans are going to somehow win.
I'm fine with it. I just don't see it happening.
No, yeah, me neither. All right, afternoon slate. First one, Los Angeles Chargers. They're 5-5. They're taking on the 4-7 Cardinals. Officially? No.
I don't know if it's officially, but I feel like it's officially.
They're down by 3 touchdowns. So over-under in this game is 47.5. Kyler Murray should be back. There was a chance he played this week. So I think that does add a different dynamic to this game. It sounds like Hollywood Brown should be back next week. And so I think we're now Rondale Moore left this game. So it's kind of just replacing him with Hollywood Brown, which is an upgrade for what it's worth. On the other side of things, the Chargers, Mike Williams re-injured his ankle, but they said that it's not a severe one, and I kind of think he might try to play again this week.
I think
Keenan Allen, do you think he's out this week? I think they'll.
Yeah, I don't think he should have played this week, and I think they let him talk himself into the lineup. I think you sit him for a week. Like, I understand you need wins here, but I think you can beat the Cardinals with Keenan Allen and Palmer and Carter, and
If he plays, do you play him?
No.
I don't think so, being an afternoon game, because I think you've already made the decision, and I think it's going to be, at best, a game time decision. So
yeah, because you're not deciding. I mean, you maybe are deciding between him and Lockett or him and Hollywood. Like, just looking at these afternoon games, like you're not choosing him over them with a chance, and he would be getting Byron Murphy for the most part because he doesn't go in the slot a ton, which is where Keenan Allen's going to work. So,
yeah, play everyone. I don't except James Conner. I wouldn't say
Chargers
James
Conner's isn't good though.
It's not.
We'll play Conner.
That's fine. I guess too, if Rondale is out, Greg Dortch is going off right now with Hollywood out for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But I think in deep leagues, Dortch is worth a play if Rondale remains out because he's always assumed that role or a role in the offense when one's down. So could be a decent
It's
flex.
fair. But I'll take the Chargers and the over.
Yeah, same. We're picking a lot of the same this week, but that's okay. Next game, another clunker. Rams, 3-7 Rams. The Lions are going to end up with a top 5 pick, I'm telling you. And it's not going to be with their own pick like usual. They're playing the Chiefs this week. The Chiefs are 8-2. Chiefs are 14.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 44. This game sucks. Matthew Stafford is back in concussion protocol, I believe. He left the game, and it was not John Walford that went in. It was Bryce Perkins. He is not good at football. I don't actually know how he was the backup in this game over Walford. I don't have any interest in playing a single Rams offensive player in this game.
Higbee would be the only one.
That's fair.
That's
as
far as I'll go.
Yeah, you have to. If you have Higbee, you have to play him, of course. But yeah. And then on the Chiefs side, Kadarius Toney left the game the other night. I just hit my mic with my hat. Didn't like that. Toney left the game. Sky Moore had a big game. Sky Moore was targeted quite a bit. I don't know if Juju's going to be back. McCole Hardman is not going to play. He's on the IR. Is Sky Moore like worth a flex against the Rams defense?
If Toney and Juju are out, yeah.
Okay. I think I'm comfortable with that. I think if he finds the end zone, we're talking about Sky Moore in that waiver wire situation, which I think he is worth an add and stash potentially down the stretch, but maybe not with Juju coming back at some point.
Yeah. And then Chiefs over. Take the points and the over.
Yeah, for sure. Next one, a fine game. The 4-7 Saints are taking on the 7-4, 6-4, 7-4, 6-4, 6-4. They already had their bye. The 6-4 49ers. 49ers are 8-point favorites in this game. Over under is 42. I think the line might push a little further for the 49ers after this performance. 49ers offense is just clicking. Brandon Ayuk has 2 touchdowns. Deebo Samuel looks like Deebo. Christian McCaffrey has like 7 receptions. Elijah Mitchell, when he's running the ball, is averaging like 7 a carry. This
offense is starting to peak.
It sure is. On the other side of things, I don't know how Andy Dalton's still playing football over Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston actually spoke with the media this last week. Now, the reason could be they're winning games. Andy Dalton was fine, 21 of 25, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's how. However, I think it's worth noting that this offense is better when Jameis Winston is in the game. I think. I still believe that. So, other than that, Chris Olave dusted Jalen Ramsey last week. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Chris Olave is the best rookie receiver. No, like pretty clearly.
I'm trying to think if there's anyone close.
Garrett Wilson, if he had a quarterback, I think we'd be talking about him differently.
Yeah.
Chris Olave is the wide receiver 11 in PPR right now.
I mean, Olave's been the best, but I was just trying to see if there's anyone really close because there's like 8 receivers drafted, but
yeah,
I don't really think there is. Yeah, so I mean, you're playing Olave.
Kamara.
I think you're playing Kamara. It's been a little frustrating.
Though? Yeah.
Huh?
I said you're hesitating though. Like you're not.
I don't think you're hesitating, but I think at this point it's almost like he's just not getting touchdowns in these games where he's not like exploding, and it's really just hurting him. And this is, obviously a good run defense, and he might be able to do some work in the passing game, which is going to be needed, but still. I think he's more of a flex play this week, which is unfortunate, but you pretty much have to play him because if he gets to the end zone, he is an easy RB2. Like, there's no question with his workload. Other side, you play everyone. Someone's going to have a dud-ish game, but you play everyone. Like, you have to.
Well, yeah. I mean, even so tonight, let's see what the updated stats are. So Jimmy Garoppolo is actually a decent play, I think, in this game, which is kind of crazy. But so Elijah Mitchell would have been the dud tonight. He had 9 carries for 59 yards. Like one of those ends up a touchdown probably in most weeks. And so,
Yeah.
and that was with him playing like 3 snaps in the first half. So I think that's your dud this week, but you're comfortable with that. Like you got your 6 points. Fine. Like fine. It's not the worst dud in the world. And I'm taking the 49ers and I'm taking the over because they almost beat this over tonight.
Yeah, I'll take the 49ers and the over.
Okay, cool. 3 more games to go. Unfortunately, this one is the Raiders game. Randy, I apologize. Raiders are 3-7. Seahawks are 6-4. And the Seahawks are 3.5-point favorites in this game. Also coming off their bye. Over under in this game is 47.5. Over. I'll say that now. Over. Both these offenses can score the football. Raiders a little less so. I almost said to sit Josh Jacobs. I'm glad I didn't. He what did he end up with? He ended up with 19 fantasy points. So 24 carries, 109 yards, and 3 catches for 51.
Glad I could talk you out of that one.
Yeah. Well, I thought, the Broncos would focus in on him. They did. It doesn't matter. Josh Jacobs is like a top 8 running back this year in terms of every like skill set and what he's been doing. He's been very, very good.
Yeah. This should be a good game. Both these defenses suck. So while the Seahawks have shown improvement at different times, and obviously with Max Crosby, you never know. But I think you can play Carr. I think you're playing Jacobs. You're playing Adams. Outside chance being able to play Mac Hollins outside. You're playing DK. You're playing Lockett. You're playing Ken Walker. Are you playing Fant? I think you're playing
so.
Playing all them, but
I think Fant is like if you lost Pitts, you don't know who to get on the waiver wire, and Fant's sitting there because he probably is. I think he's a fine play. He's been trending upward. He's been utilized more. I think that's a good play. I'm going to take the Seahawks in this game. We're riding until we die, and I'm gonna take the over.
I'm going to take the Seahawks in the over so the Raiders have a chance to win it.
That's fair. All right, Sunday Night Football. 4-7 Packers are taking on the 9-1 Eagles. The Eagles are 7-point favorites in this game. Over under is 45.5. The Eagles haven't looked good the last 2 weeks. I think that's worth noting. They scrapped out a win against the Colts, who have been playing well, and the Colts definitely lost that game more than the Eagles won it, in my opinion. Nick Sirianni went berserk. I don't know if he was yelling at Colts fans or celebrating with Eagles fans, but my good friend Kevin Coleman is getting absolutely cooked by Eagles fans for saying he's the most unlikable coach in the NFL. So that's fun stuff. On the other side of things, we talked about Christian Watson. I think that the guys are starting. I would start Watson. I think the Eagles have been susceptible to giving up decent days over the last few weeks. Early in the year, that wasn't the case. But I would start Watson in this game. I would start Jones, and that's it on that side, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I'm playing Rodgers, but I think you could play Watson. It's weird.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You don't always. I feel like there's like this perception that like if a receiver has a good game, that means the quarterback did too.
Yeah,
that's not always the case in fantasy. And then
look at what we just said with the Seahawks Raiders game. We both said you could play Carr, you could play Geno, but you're playing DK and Lockett. You're playing at
right.
There's a different echelon of quarterbacks to where you can be 25 of 35 and 280 and 2 touchdowns, and you're still not a quarterback one. So there's a difference there.
Yeah, for sure. Other side of the ball, you're playing all the Eagles. The Packers defense had been fine until this last game against the Titans. I feel like AJ Brown is going to have a massive game because he kind of almost fumbled the game away. He actually got lucky in that they won the game because he did fumble the game away. So I expect a massive day from him. I feel like the Packers, if they have a weakness, I think that Miles Sanders is going to be able to run on them pretty well. So I feel pretty confident starting all the Eagles that you would normally start.
Yep. No, I'll take the Eagles. I'll take the Eagles to cover and the under, which is awkward, but
I'll take the Packers to cover, Eagles to win the game, Packers to cover the spread, and then I'll take the under as I'll take the over. I'll take the over in this game. Final game of the week: Steelers Colts Monday Night Football. Colts are playing good football. Over under in this game is 39. Colts are favored by 3 points at home, which is pretty much a pick 'em. And the Steelers, Kenny Pickett's a thing that's happening. He ended up with a fairly efficient day on Sunday. I'm trying to pull up his stats really quick. So they scored 30 points, 25 of 42, 265 yards and a touchdown. He didn't turn the ball over. I think that matters. Najee Harris, the last couple of weeks has woken up, which is good. I said, the burst looks back. I think you start Najee Harris in this game against the Colts.
the Colts run defense has been so good.
It has. Buckner is like legit.
Miles Sanders did nothing this last week. Josh Jacobs had, I think, his worst game of the year against him 2 weeks ago. It's tough.
It is. It is. But I think I'll take the trend of Najee upward, and I expect him to get up for this game. Now, the Steelers' offensive line, that's a different story. I do think the Colts are able to pull this game out. On the other side of things, Jonathan Taylor looks good. Once again, I think this Saturday hiring has been a really good thing for the Colts, is because he's a sounds. Matt Ryan's playing good football, 23 of 32, 213 yards. Not a great fantasy day, but he played good football. I know they only scored 16 points. Michael Pittman and Paris Campbell are the two receivers at this point with Matt Ryan. Alec Pierce is getting targeted, but he hasn't been efficient with those targets, and they're not targets that he can really be efficient with all the time. I think you're not really afraid of the Steelers defense, though, is what I'd say.
I don't know about all that.
Burrow cooked them.
Yeah, but Burrow's not Ryan. Ryan's not Burrow, I guess is the better way to put that. And we've seen Ryan under pressure this year be absolutely dog shit. And
that's fair.
So, I mean, the main difference is they can run the ball now, which they couldn't under the first coach, which makes no sense. But, they're moving the ball on the ground, and I think that's the only thing kind of keeping them around. But I think he can keep around this game as well. I'm going to take the Colts in the under, but it's close.
Yeah, that's a low total.
I don't care.
I'll also take the Colts and the under, but I think it's right there. Like, I think this could be a 23-20 game, and that's the over. And so I don't know.
We'll see. I don't know if the Colts can score 23.
That's fair. I get that for sure. And that would also be a push for what it's worth. So that'll do it for our Week 12 preview. We did discuss, we have a couple extra minutes here. We talked about how we'd discuss Wakanda Forever. I saw it over the weekend. Randy saw it a couple weeks ago now.
Yep.
So, Randy, your thoughts on Wakanda Forever?
Just quick
spoiler alert.
Yeah, just
spoilers. Just in case.
But yeah, for what it's worth, I just I thought it was a really good movie. It wasn't one of the overarching Marvel films that you've had to watch like the last 10 films to appreciate or anything. It was really just, you could have watched just that movie and understood a good amount of it, but the baseline grieving part of it, I think you needed to watch the first one and just understand, kind of how important that character was to the universe as its whole and just them as, a people. But
sure.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I keep saying they made a clear villain with a clear reason, and everything was clearly put out there. It was well written, and while You can just go through, yeah.
I was just gonna say, and they didn't kill the villain. Like I think,
No,
like spoiler alert, they didn't kill the villain. So
because it
that's
has
a
potential still.
exactly. Which early Marvel they wasted a ton of villains because they were like, gotta kill him, got it.
Well, and
Superheroes
that's
gotta win.
yeah, and some people like with the last Thor movie are pissed that they killed
Gore,
Gore. I want to
yeah,
say
Gore the God Butcher.
the God Butcher because that you know that character can have a longer reign, I guess, and I think they gave him a long reign in that movie, but it was all in the background. It wasn't, you
Right.
know, you only
Yeah.
saw one kill, and then he came after Thor, you know, but in reality, he killed like hundreds of
Hundreds.
gods.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
He was gone berserk.
it's just he could have been doing that the whole time in the background, and then and we could have seen some of it. And there could have been like little plots to it, but there was a point of like there really isn't going to be a ton more of Thor, you know, past this next phase probably.
Yeah.
So
Which is good because Mr. Hemsworth has early onset Alzheimer's, I think, or
I don't think
he
he
has a
actually
gene.
has early onset. He just is way more
It's a
susceptible to it, which also does not mean you get it, but it's
yeah.
you
So
know
he's just taking a step back, which I mean, to me that says,
it's a
oh,
processing step back, which I think everyone would need
right,
in that
and
scenario.
they don't need him to act until the next Avengers movie anyway, probably.
Yeah,
So
which is plenty far
a
away.
couple
But back
years.
to Wakanda Forever.
Sure.
You know the I think they just did a really good job of not like throwing away anything from the first movie and just keeping it going and making clear understanding. And they didn't magically, you know, find another source of the Black Panther flowers or anything. They had to make it. You know, it wasn't just because there's been some Marvel where you'd have been it would have just been like "Ugh, they went over the hill and it was there. You know,
Right. Yeah.
they actually had to, you know, work their ass off and, you know, it ended up costing his life not having it, you know, but
Right.
obviously he wasn't going to be there regardless. But I was also very happy they didn't, you know, I don't want to just to come off wrong, but like bastardize him
Yeah.
by like kind of, you know, I was really like turned away from Fast and Furious with how much they just tried to use Paul Walker after his death.
Sure.
And I'm
Yeah.
super glad they didn't do that. They just did old clips, even, you know, at the end when, you know, his presence was supposed to be there. They didn't show him, you know, they
Yeah.
didn't come up with a hologram or have his voice. They
Right.
just
Yeah.
showed past memories, which is very tasteful. And,
Yes.
you know, actually surprised. I was very happy with that. I
Yeah.
was very worried about that.
Me too. I went into this movie very concerned. The achievement of this movie, like, you know, we aren't film reviewers. I listen to a lot of film podcasts though, and the achievement to go through losing your lead actor that was supposed to take over the Avenger, like he was being
Yeah.
set up to be the leader of the Avengers, um, to do that and make a really good film while and someone I heard someone say, you know, if you strip this movie down, it's the same as the first Black Panther, and that is fucking brilliant to me. Like
Yeah.
to make the almost the same movie an origin story for Shuri, um, who
Yeah.
and then to then set up the next origin story at the very end, like just I was blown away. Like I can't wait to
Yeah.
watch this movie again. I saw someone
Yes.
I tweeted about it
100%.
and they were like, yeah, I went to see it twice. I had to see it again. I said, yeah, I'd love to, but also like 3 hours is tough for
Yeah.
me.
I think I think I like the action scenes of the first Black Panther more,
For
but
sure.
like the movie as a whole, I think is more rewatchable in my opinion. Um, I really like the integration of you know the new people, the new villain, the new underground water world, and the
Yeah.
honestly like inventions that they would obviously come up with, like
Right.
like
Yeah.
water grenades being like the most effective thing possible. But
Yeah.
it
It was
makes
pretty sick.
perfect sense for them. And
Yeah.
um, but I also liked how, like you said, it set up like the future of you know kind of reborn of the Black Panther with his son.
Yeah.
but it also didn't like commit to Shuri being Black Panther actually, because it didn't even like say that she kept it, you know.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, my theory uh, is that M'Baku is going to rule Wakanda. She's going to remain the Black Panther for a little while
Yeah.
until Prince T'Challa's ready. Fucking yeah! I'm glad we hit it with a spoiler. I'm so sorry if you haven't seen it and you're watching this, please stop. Um,
It's
we
also
I don't
like
want
an
to.
after credit, so
It is. Yeah, it's going to be all over the internet here in the next few days. I can't believe it's not
yeah.
already. But really quickly too, you mentioned grief. This is the end of this phase, and
Yeah.
if you look back, it's now like them ending with this form of grief, and that part of the theme of this movie is how do I process this grief? How do I, go through the stages of grief and get
Yeah.
past it? And then at the very end, it's like, okay, I have grieved, and a lot of phase 4 was that WandaVision, that was the main theme. Loki, that was a main theme. And so when you look back now at the phase, at Eternals even was that. I mean, when you look back at the phase, you can say that was a very intentional theme coming out of uh Endgame, where that's what you have to do. You have to grieve that loss. Like it's brilliant, and I should always trust Kevin Feige because he has a plan, and I think like moving forward now, I'm pumped. Like I'm very excited for the next few films. So
Yeah, the only thing I I I don't even want to say like upset, but like I wish because obviously it's come out from the director that the original plot of the movie with Chadwick Boseman was to be more of the grief over the loss of time and how he because he was gone, so it was more of him like grieving how he couldn't take care of his people and maybe like they could have been worse off than they were to start the movie. Um, so I think that would have been an interesting concept because the phase 4 really didn't have that full like understanding of the grieving of the time in between, except because even like the only one that really talked about it a ton, like Spider-Man did, but it was kind of more like a goofy
right.
sense.
Mhm.
And then like Black Widow did, but not really also. So the only other ones that really did was um, Hawkeye, and then this was what it was supposed to be. So and
A
Hawkeye
little
was
bit in
just
WandaVision
barely
too.
what
A little bit with WandaVision with Monica Rambeau.
a
Just that,
little bit,
but that was like
yeah.
one episode, and it was actually just like the first 10 minutes of an episode. So,
Exactly. That's why
um,
it's kind of that's the only part is like obviously it would have been I think a better movie with Chadwick, and then I think it'd have been a better for the whole like development of it all if they could have had that kind of plot because it really doesn't fit anywhere else at this point, and that sucks. Like the only thing close would have been this upcoming Ant Man, but it seems like because they're kicking off so much, they're not doing it,
right,
so it's
yeah,
just tough. It just seems like a part that is kind of like left out, unfortunately.
yeah.
Which
We might get
it
it in the
sucks.
future. I mean, they've got time to,
Yeah, I just don't know because there's so many like you can't do it with like new characters unless you do it with
sure.
like Daredevil, like and you do it like that with
Oh
maybe
yeah,
him talking to like Spider-Man about and then Spider-Man being pissed that he was gone for 4 years because he was.
yeah,
It's really the only like connection you could make.
yeah,
It's just weird how it's gonna be. So
yeah.
it's just awkward, and it's like it feels just knowing that that was what it was supposed to be, and that would have kind of in another way completed Phase 4. It just kind of sucks that we didn't get that aspect, but
Yeah. I do wonder where this falls like timeline wise too, because clearly like he had been back for a little while. So they said he suffered in silence, which was also a nice little nod because Chadwick did that in real
yeah,
life. He didn't tell
yeah,
anyone. Um, but so clearly like we're at least advanced a year or two
yeah.
um past 2023, which is where Endgame took us. So we're in probably 2025 in the MCU, which they need to stop that. Like they need a reset to where it's okay, current year once again, because people are losing track and then people are out.
Well, yeah, and then we only really know once they put it on Disney Plus.
Right. Yeah, for
Because
sure.
then it goes in chronological order. You're like, oh, okay, that's where Loki is. All right, that makes sense.
Right. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. So I love
Yeah,
this movie.
I do too. I think it was really, really well done, and it was all good. You know,
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, we'll have more Marvel things. I'm sure Ant-Man will come up because we'll be in draft season by then. So,
it's gonna be fun.
yeah. So, and there are more shows that come out early next year as well. So,
Most
season
likely, I don't remember.
Echo comes out. I don't really care about it all that much, but we'll see.
I care about it only because I think it introduces, like this whole
Yeah.
timeline of reintroducing Kingpin and Daredevil and possibly Punisher and a couple
And
others.
Jessica
So
Jones maybe too.
yeah,
So,
basically
yeah.
all the, I don't want to say B
OGs.
rate like New
Yeah.
York superheroes, but it's kind of the B rate. I mean,
That's
because
what they
it's
are.
basically Spider-Man is the A team there, and then
Yeah.
everyone
And
else.
Cap back in the day, but yeah, so we'll definitely have more Marvel on the show. We haven't done this in a while, so
Yeah,
but it'll be a good time. All right, Randy, do you have anything to add before we get out of here? 'Cause it's late.
just happy holidays. Hopefully, you're all feeling better than me and Christian are right now, and hopefully, me and Christian can push
Let
this
it-
through our systems by Thursday. But we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Happy holidays, everyone. Good luck in your matchups. Remember, no bye weeks, so start your studs. We talked about all the guys you should start. Other than that, eat a lot of turkey, eat a lot of pie, eat a lot of stuffing, all the
Sleep.
good stuff. So.
Just
And sleep and watch football on Thursday, and then sleep on Friday if you have Friday off work.
and then watch. Hopefully, Ohio State win on Saturday morning or afternoon.
Yeah,
Gotta get used to saying that again.
I'm
for this week.
actively. I told Nikki we have to watch. Like we'll watch the first half, and then I have to read if my stepdad's gonna go ballistic, and then we're gonna just drive home and I'll listen to the second half. And
That's
that
the
might
other
be
thing
better.
when I'm home, I have to. I think I have like a free trial of Sirius. I want to hook that up because I'm gonna be driving home during the football
I
game
think
on
it's
Sunday.
free as well. This starting this weekend, so you should be good. I believe so.
I just know I have, I best case I watch like an hour of football and get home late on Sunday. I'm not gonna do that. So
Yeah, gross. All right, that'll do it for this episode. For Randy Hall, I'm Christian Williams. We'll talk to you guys next week. Later.